we're going to take a look at the TLR7 Sub, the SIG version, and the TLR7 Sub 1913S, which I don't know if that means there's different ones coming, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at those. Here they are. I've got them mounted up. Of course, with the 1913 version, you're going to have a rail adapter. I believe it will have to be a XL rail adapter, but I will go ahead and bust out the standard 365 with the rail adapter, and it will fit. The whole rail is engaged on there, so very good option right there. Again, this will work without the rail adapter. We know that. What we're solving here is the other issues. The gap there, the fact that this one wobbles back and forth. Heard you can shove a piece of rubber up in here, shove something in there so it doesn't have that rock. I don't even know if I can show that on camera, but it's got a little bit of a rock to it, and that's tightened down. And the other issue that we solved was the high switch on this side just kind of got in the way of the finger. So what I did was I took this one over here from the TLR7A that comes with a low, and I swapped one of the buttons. So these buttons are swappable. The whole back is not, because it's a different size, but the buttons are swappable. That solves the issue of clearing your finger, and you still get the high switch for your offhand. So great option there. Again, nothing wrong with this. Works, mounts direct to it. My opinion, I don't like the look of the gap right here, and overall it's the same thickness, same width, same height as the 7A, the max height. They just made this part slimmer up here. They could have done more, since these back caps switches aren't swappable. They could have totally just made it slim all the way through, but I guess they decided to go the quick route. Again, there we are. That's the TLR7 Sub on the XL. Boom. We also have it on the standard 365 with a rail. This is the 1913 version. The other benefits getting the 1913 version will do is, if you decide you don't like the SIG platform, you can just swap the light to anything because it's a 1913. Or you decide, hey, I want an Icarus precision grip. You can just swap it directly to your precision grip. Or you decide that someone came out with a full railed frame for the XL. Oh, that's us. This is a prototype. You don't ask any questions. We don't have release dates on it, but we're working hard on it. Then you'd be able to just swap your light over to that rail. Boom, back on the XL here. It's a great look. Some of the differences from the 1913 to the Sub, like we've mentioned, the 1913 will be able to fit on any gun that has a rail. The 1913 is a standard rail. It comes with several keys that allow it to fit. The SIG one does not come with any keys. The only thing holding it on is it's up against the plastic there and against the trigger guard back here. And I think that's why there's a little bit of a rock, is because they didn't get their specs quite right. That's sad. Anyway, great light. This is a great option. I'm not bashing on it. Just, if they're making one dedicated for it, it shouldn't have play in it. I think I actually, no, see, there you go. Yeah, I pushed it all the way back, and now there's a gap up front. That's why there's play in it. So if I slide it back to the front, it's gonna rock. But if I slide it all the way back, it's not gonna rock because it's up against the trigger guard, but it's gonna slide forward. So you can jam something up in there. That's great. All right, guys, a little update. While I was editing this, I've got some new information. We are seeing a few sources now where, because this light can move, so right there, it's all the way back up against the trigger guard, and you have, let's see, so what, between a 32nd and a 16th of an inch. And so it allows this to move, and so it's kind of causing some destruction to the frame. And I'll overlay some pictures here. where people are reporting that under some use, and if you're using your thumb as a support kind of on that light, which I've done often on the TLR7A, that's gonna do it even more. But under fire, that's getting some movement. So a couple notes you'll probably want to do is not use your expensive Cerakoted stippled frame. You can try putting some of the rubber under there, get rid of that, and that could eliminate that risk. I do foresee this. Let's turn on this overhead light, see if this helps a little bit. I do foresee the TLR7 Sub SIG version possibly going out of stock for a while they address that. Not a ton of reports. There's a couple users, some holster makers that are seeing that too, as if when you're holstering, that's going to be when you're holstering with a light, all of the retention is on the light. So they normally make it tight and then it snaps right here, because normally it's the trigger guard that they do that with. So with the light on there, it's going to probably hit right here and grab, and so that's going to be causing some pull also. And so be aware of that, something to be aware of. Again, there are options. The 1913 version, it's going to sit slightly higher, as we mentioned earlier in the video, but it's not going to have that movement because there's a key in there. So yeah, just wanted to give a little update as we wrap up this video. Boom. The other differences I noted was the 7 one sticks out slightly farther. You can take the silver line there as a reference. On the left, that silver line is underneath the barrel, underneath the slide. On the right, the 7 SIG Sub, it's right in line with it. So sticks out a little bit less here. Again, we don't have a key for this. This has got no key in it right now. We're working on a key. We'll drop a link below once that key's available. We're probably biased. I try to look at it non-biased, but my OCD sees this giant gap up front and thinks it looks funny. Again, we'll go ahead on camera and we will measure. We'll go the SIG one versus the TLR7. Okay, we're on inches here. We're getting the max width right here, 1.16. The max width right here, 1.16. And then we're going to get overall length from the TLR7 here with the high switch, 2.504. This is the high switch, try not to push the button, 2.52. Pretty darn the same. Same dimension there, both dimensions are the same. Now, I'm gonna have to drop this for this one. We are at the top of the rail here and the bottom of the gun. This one's hard to measure while it's on the gun. We'll just line that top one up, that bottom one up. 1.26, no, 1.29. We're gonna call it 1.3. Same thing here. 1.29, 1.3. Measuring to this part right here, the thickest part. Again, same light. Nothing's compatible to switch. You can't switch anything but the actual buttons. And yeah, they've just shaved off some of the extra length here and made the caps smaller. So when you take this one apart, the electronics end right here. This one, the electronics end way up here. All they did is move the aluminum body further back, but they've kept this bump out here, so they're using the same electronics, and that's why they didn't make this even thinner, is they wanted to keep the same electronics and the same actual buttons, I guess. Oddly, horrible excuse to do it. Sorry, let's rotate these back. Again, my personal thought is they could have made it so much thinner if they didn't try to reuse the internal electronics, because that's just wasted space if you're going on a sub gun here. It's still just as thick, just not right here, just as thick as the thick part thickest parts are the same, longest parts are the same, and the longest depth. So max dimensions on all of it are the same, really. So with that said, if you've got a TLR7A, I don't see a point to upgrade. All you're going to get is it's going to be a little thinner right here, and that's it. And you're not going to get low switches. So it's just going to be a little thinner here. If you don't have a light, I highly recommend the 1913 version. Like I said, you can swap it to any other 1913 rail. It's got a bunch of keys. You can put it on any pistol that has a rail up front, any rifle that has a rail. Whereas the Sub, I assume they'll sell. Someday they'll sell just that little portion of it. But as for right now, you have to buy it in a kit. And the 1913 SIG version, while great, I found that the button obstructed my trigger finger going to the trigger. So I dropped on a low switch on this side and kept the high switch because I do like the high switch for the offhand. That's a good option if you want to go that way. Personal preference. I love the dust cover being covered. Thoughts are we might try to make some kind of dust cover that goes in there and shims it a little bit, gets rid of the rock, but the wobble, but also fills the gap. Honestly, guys, that rocking that's horrible. Is anybody else? Yeah, actually, yeah. I know I did a live video earlier, and other people were commenting they shoved rubber up in here to keep the rock from rocking. So yeah. Either way, those are your options. If you have questions, you guys, drop them in the comments. Go check us out on Instagram. We try to respond pretty quick over there to any comments on any videos or pictures. We did a live story and took the trigger buttons and swapped them live on the video, and we just went over some comparisons and whatnot. So good video over there. This one will be for the permanent tubes or whatever we call them. Interwebs if we get kicked off YouTube because it's gun related. Either way, TLR7 Sub. Believe at the time of recording, the 1913 version is still available at midwayusa.com. No affiliation.